Now, recycling is one of the key components to combating global warming. It's become a daily habit for many of us, but are we doing it right? Solange Mougin is in the studio with more. Solange, great to see you. So talk us through how the French are actually doing on the recycling front.
Well, it's really a mixed picture. The French Agency for the Ecological Transition, or ADEME, released a report this month noting that across all sectors, in 2020, more than 66 million tons of trash were recycled, which saved some 17 million tons of CO2. Now, that sounds great, and it is, but the ADEME admits that there is a lot more work to do. With some 580 kilos of waste emitted per person per year in France, the country has not managed in the past decade to decrease its waste per person, and that really is part of the big ticket of lowering our carbon footprint. Now, if you take plastic recycling, for example, in France, it's at around 27%, which is a long way from the EU average of 40%, and a long way from other nations as well, like Austria and the Netherlands, which is at 57%.
So when it comes to food waste, clearly France has work to do.
Yeah, reducing waste as well, food waste as well, by 40% is part of the EU's Green Deal. For each EU citizen wastes 131 kilos of food per year. Brussels wants at least 60% of that to be recycled as compost by 2030. And again, France here is far from that. Only 1 in 3 households has access to a compost, and only 42% of food is composted. This despite the fact that as of January 1st of this year, such schemes are mandatory. And once you get used to it, well, it's actually not that hard to do.
I grab everything that's biodegradable. I can put eggshells too.
The bin can be next to you when you cook. There's no smell at all.
It works the same way as glass. It's really easy, even if it's cold outside. It's pretty quick to leave your house and dump it.
So Solange, how do we recycle better?
Well, first and foremost, it's important to recycle. As of January 1st of last year, all recyclable materials except for glass go all together in the same yellow bin in France. They're then sorted by machines into different materials and then recycled or incinerated. Some are put underground as well, but mostly incinerated. A good example of how important this is your average yogurt container. Most are made out of a plastic that's very brittle and hard to recycle. That's why they go clack, clack when you break them apart. And you need to recycle it anyway. Why? Well, because around 3% they end up getting sent to Spain and are recycled there, and the rest are used often by the cement industry to create energy. And above all, France produces 15 billion yogurt containers a year. So having that many on hand, well, to recycle, it creates pressure on industrialists to either one, use another material that's easier to recycle and thus potentially earn money from it, or two, find a way to recycle the polyurethane. Now, a caveat here, when it comes to yogurt and France's love for it, it's better to get it in bigger jugs because those jugs are easier to recycle, or in jar glasses, or even better, make it yourself.
Okay. What are some other tips?
Well, in no particular order, buy in bulk, or as we say in French, en vrac. This not only reduces the amount of packaging, it also is often cheaper. It also shows supermarkets and food markets that there is a demand for less packaging. Number 2, when it comes to food waste, find out if your town has a compost program, as it's legally bound to here in France. They're coming in some places that are catching up.
Mine doesn't. I know that for sure because I used to live in the center of Paris before, and I did have a little brown thing, and now I don't have it.
Ask around. They may be popping up soon if your neighborhood doesn't have it.
Because you need to have the actual garbage thing to put it in. So otherwise,
it's coming. But yes, again, 1 in 3 people have access to it. Not everyone. Number 3, also learn about the real actual shelf life of certain foods, because there is a big difference between sell-by dates and best before dates. Some foods, not all of them, last a lot longer than you think. Number 4, find out if there are schemes for ugly fruit and vegetables in your neighborhood.
I have a problem with this.
They would otherwise be tossed, but they taste just as good, so it's worthwhile. And finally, look and see if there are buy-back bottle schemes in your neighborhood or in certain supermarkets in your neighborhood. It is a program that works in many countries in Europe, and many feel that France needs to get on with that. 88% of French people actually are in favor of such schemes.
Solange, thank you very much for that. Solange Mougin telling us on how to recycle better.